Why the Chicago Bears will draft a pass rusher in the first round. What's up, guys? Swift here. We are 5 days away from the NFL draft, and I've kind of taken a step back and reevaluated the entire process and have been focusing on what we will do in this year's draft. And today I wanted to talk about why I believe there's a great chance that we're going to take a pass rusher in the first round of the NFL draft, whether that is at number 9 or by trading down. As I said here today, I think the most likely scenario is that we add to the defensive line on Thursday night after selecting Caleb Williams #1 overall. Today, I will explain why and what players are most likely to be taken. Let's get right into it. First off, I do want to say I don't believe anything is 100%. Ryan Poles made it clear that they have zeroed in on 3 potential options: wide receiver, pass rusher, or offensive tackle. They said that themselves. But today I wanted to talk about the pass rusher aspect, and it was Matt Eberflus's comments a few weeks back that really got my brain going on this topic. I've thought all along that we needed more help on this defensive line, but specifically when it comes to this year's pick at number 9, I think pass rusher might be the most likely option. Now, that pass rusher could come at either defensive tackle or edge rusher, and I believe there's plenty of value there if we trade down, especially to somewhere between 12 and 17. But it comes down to what kind of pass rusher are we going to take, a defensive tackle or an edge rusher? Matt Eberflus was not shy about wanting to add a 1-2 punch to pair with Montez Sweat on this defensive line. In order to get a player of that caliber that can come in and be a 1-2 punch, we most likely are going to have to take them in the first round. Pair that with the fact that there's a lot more depth at the wide receiver and offensive tackle positions when it comes to this year's draft, and it almost makes too much sense for the Bears to go after a pass rusher early in this draft. Now, on top of that, there's a possibility that all 8 of the first picks could go to the offensive side of the ball, meaning the Bears are going to have a number of options on the defensive line at pick number 9, even if the Falcons do take Dallas Turner at pick 8. Enough so that we should still be able to trade down at least a few picks and still have a number of options on the defensive line. So today I wanted to rank the guys I believe are most likely to be Chicago Bears this week. That's exciting just to say right there. We're going to have new Chicago Bears this week. Let's go ahead and get right into it. I think it comes down to about 5 players, honestly, but I'm actually going to rank 7 here because I do think there's a chance we trade down even farther. So starting it off, coming in at number 7 is my guy Chop Robinson from Penn State. He scored a 9.72 on the RAS, and he's a guy I've been a fan of for a while now. With Chop, he's one of the guys we can get by trading down pretty far and picking up multiple extra picks. I just think it's less likely. Same with Darius Robinson, who comes in at number 6. He dominated at the Senior Bowl, and then he tested off the charts at the Combine, scoring a 9.64 on the RAS with 34.5-inch arm length. He can play inside or outside on the line, and he's another one of my favorite players in the entire draft. But I rank him as the 6th most likely option for the Bears. So let's get into the top 5. At number 5, I have Illini interior pass rusher Johnny Newton. He did not test at the Combine. He has a right foot injury, but he looks awesome on tape, and the Bears did meet with him at the Combine and attend his pro day. And then at number 4, I have the best pass rusher in the draft, UCLA's Laiatu Latu. I love this dude. I just don't know how the Bears will feel about him. One, there's the injury concern that I'm not going to get into. I love his game. His tape is off the charts, and I think he would be an awesome fit across from Montez Sweat. But so far, in the last 2 years, what we've seen from Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles suggests they will shy away from a guy like Latu for 2 reasons here. His arm length is below 33 inches, which is short for an edge rusher. It's okay for an interior guy, but Poles and Flus both seem to prefer longer arms when it comes to the edge position. They also prefer players at defensive end who excel at setting the edge versus the run, something that is not Laiatu Latu's strength. His best trait is rushing the passer. He can set the edge, and I do think he's a bit underrated in this aspect, but I think teams in the NFL would most likely run right at him, and that's the only problem in Latu's game for me. But he is a baller, and he's a guy I would love if the Bears drafted him. And then next up at number 3, I have Dallas Turner from Alabama, who could go as high as number 8 to the Falcons, and I think I'd actually prefer that. It's not that I don't like Dallas Turner. I don't want people to take me out of context here, but I'm just not quite as high on him as others, and I think he's going to get drafted a bit higher than he deserves. I do think Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus would really like him. He's athletic, and he has 34-plus-inch arms, as well as I think he would hold up against the run, but he's a bit undersized, and I just didn't like his tape as much as some other guys. I still think he's a really good player, but honestly, I think I would rather trade down and take Liatu Latu or either one of the Robinsons, Darius or Chop, over taking Dallas Turner at number 9 overall. I do think if he's on the board at number 9, though, he's a definite possibility, which is why I have him as the 3rd most likely defensive lineman to end up as a Chicago Bear this Thursday night. But moving on to number 2, I have Byron Murphy out of Texas. His game is just special to me. I see some Aaron Donald when I watch his tape, and there's a thing that people miss about him, and it's that this dude is 6 foot even and 297, and somehow held up better against the run game than his monster teammate Tavondre Sweat was right next to him. Pair that with his insane upside as a pass rusher, and I just love Byron Murphy's game. I think Poles and Eberflus will too. He is shorter than any defensive tackle they've drafted, especially when you compare him to Gervon Dexter and Zach Pickens, but Murphy definitely has the potential to be a Chicago Bear this Thursday. I really love his game. And then at number 1, the guy I think is most likely to be a Chicago Bear this week, I have my guy, Jared Verse out of Florida State. I think he's been a victim of being overanalyzed in this draft process. He was a guy who was a surefire top 10 pick if he would have came out in last year's draft. But he returned to school, and I thought his tape was awesome. He didn't do anything to fall off. He was constantly double-teamed, and he fit everything that Eberflus and Poles want in a defensive end. He has those 33-plus-inch arms. He's big and powerful, not to mention extremely athletic. He scored a 9.6 on the relative athletic score. I love Jared Verse's game, and he's the guy out of all the defensive linemen that I think is the most likely to end up being a Chicago Bear on Thursday night. Again, these are not my rankings, but Jared Verse is my favorite defensive end in the draft as well. But I also think he's the most likely to end up being a Chicago Bear. And that's what these rankings are. These are the guys I think are most likely to end up becoming Chicago Bears this week. If I had to guess who we take right now, I still think if Rome Odunze falls to us, that would be a no-brainer pick and we have to pick him. But I don't know how likely that is. The key to me is what happens to the Giants at pick number 6. But the player I believe is most likely to be drafted by the Bears on Thursday night right now would be Jared Verse, either at number 9 or after trading down a few picks, with Byron Murphy coming in at number 2. The Bears could move down to pick 12 or 15 and take whoever falls to them out of Verse, Murphy, or Liatu Latu. But Verse is the guy I think should be the favorite to be a Chicago Bear right now. Let me know what you guys think. I have a ton more content on the way, including a huge Caleb Williams video and my full draft rankings. Remember to hit the like button for me. And until next time, bear down.